First and foremost, thanks to the Hall of Fame committee, of course, and to USA Water Polo as a whole. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, as you would imagine, goes into making something like this happen. It's such an honor to be here and be recognized in this way. And I took a lot of time, kind of since finding out, to do what we often don't do that much of, which is kind of reflect on the experience and what it's been like to be in and around this organization for a good number of years. Through that process of reflection, I kind of kept coming back to the same concept, and it's a bit cliche, so stick with me, but it's all about this journey and not really at all about the destination. I don't think I really had a full understanding, as many don't, about what that means until I retired, but I wanted to share a bit about it with this group here. There's something about that Olympic cycle that kind of puts that message on steroids. The cycle itself is frankly a little crazy in the abstract. You go away with a group of guys for some number of weeks and years, all to come to an event that's on the calendar 4 years later, put on some funny clothes, increasingly now funnier hat, walk around a circle parade, wave at people, and then you go play what you hope turns out to be like 8 games, but might be 6. And so when you look at the balance of the time spent training and preparing versus the time spent competing, it kind of has to be that way. It has to be about what you take from the journey getting up to that point. And that concept, again, as I said earlier, it's not all that intuitive, and it doesn't come all that naturally. I have scientific proof of this. I have 2 daughters under the age of 4, and they do not understand the concept of delayed rewards and payoff down the road. They do not yet understand. I like to add that word to sentences. It makes it a little more optimistic, I think. So we all want to win. We're all competitive. I think at some level of the sport, if you're not that way, you've been sort of naturally selected out of the process. But no matter how much you prepare and you tell yourself that you outworked the person next to you, you believe in yourself, you're just never guaranteed of anything, a top result. You're certainly not entitled to it. And you may or may not, despite what your parents tell you, deserve it even. So at the end of the day, you've just kind of made yourself eligible for it. And that's a powerful place to get to. It's very important. But with all that uncertainty, again, you might as well enjoy the ride and take what you can from it. So I wanted to share a couple of highlights for me that I took away from that journey really since freshman year in high school when I started. So first, the team. Build yourself a team that motivates the right daily actions. The right team makes you stretch yourself. And actually, they make you want to stretch yourself, which is an important distinction. When it comes to bringing people close together, there's really nothing that I've found that can replace shared experience, and specifically difficult shared experiences. The years of tough training, winning some, losing a lot, difficult life events, adjusting to external factors in the world, all of these experiences led me to find a group of guys who could finish each other's sentences, who knew what one another was thinking without having to verbalize it. And I had never experienced that level or depth of friendship, and frankly haven't really been able to find it in the same way since. These are lifelong friends. They'll always share the experiences of specifically hard work and sacrifice together. So the important lesson for me, and I think for others, can be that doing those difficult things not only builds personal strength, I think we all understand that, but it really builds strength of interpersonal relationships with others. So when that adversity does come your way, and it will, you expect it and you embrace it as an important and frankly formative part of the whole process. Second, never forget the team behind the team. Another cliche, we're sticking with that theme for now. These are the enablers. This is the group of folks that make it all possible. Corley had a lot of people stand up. The village, as she said. These aren't the names on the final roster, but it's a vast, vast set of people who supported the team all along the way. I want to start with coaches on that front. I'm going to throw a few names at you. They don't have like fantasy coaching leagues, but this would be my draft class. And it's not that. This is my real life. And you'll see how lucky I was. I think the Northern California audience will appreciate this especially. Yuri Hanley, Boyd LaChance, James Lathrop, Ronnie and Donnie Heidery, Randy Burgess, John Barnea, and as you saw, John Vargas. Pretty much a dream lineup, and that's all before graduating college. Very, very lucky. The list continues on, post-graduation, Ricardo Azevedo, Gavin Arroyo, Harry Schroeder, Robert Lynn. The list is incredibly strong, and I get to use some hand gestures for the last one. Claudio Mistrangelo, who was my Italian coach for 4 years and taught me a ton as well. So while coaches can mold and develop, I also have come to learn with no uncertainty that it's family that sustains me. My mom, dad, wife, sister, brother-in-law, 2 of my oldest nieces are here today with me. And they, along with many other members of my extended family, have done so much for me, and in no particular order, convinced me to try the sport. I was not at all intending to play freshman year. That was Dad. Supported me financially. Everybody here knows this is not the NBA. Sustained me emotionally, a very important part of the equation. Aided in important decision-making. Grounded me in humility, and in general, have taught me to be first a good person, and now a patient, good parent. I don't think I've mastered that last one yet. The team behind the team goes on and on. These are the players that didn't make the roster, but that were alongside you in the pool 3 weeks prior. The friend that drove me to 5:30 a.m. workout, college professors, high school teachers, financial backers of this organization. They're all very important. This is the group that's easy to forget. We feel it in this room, but we walk out the doors and we forget about them sometimes. It's also the group that is easy to forget to be a part of yourself. So my ask is pay it forward. Now that most of us are not on the team anymore, try to find a place and an opportunity to be on someone else's team. And lastly, goal setting. We all understand that this is important, but I want to kind of walk through a little bit of a nuance for me, which was that it's great to set big and lofty goals, and that's an important part of being an athlete. But it's really critical to pair that with a kind of step-by-step plan to get there. In 2007, we were 9th place in the world after World Championships. And despite what's going on right now in the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, that's not where you want to be a year away from the Olympic year, especially when the marketing team has decided to make back to the podium like the motto. 9th to 3rd in a year in this sport, sounds crazy on paper. But I give a ton of credit to Terry Schroeder, Robert Lynn for doing what they did, which was to lay out a plan of incremental improvement that felt a lot less crazy. I'll spare you most of the details, but it started with a Navy SEAL style training, pretend it was the real thing. They kind of stripped us down, hard reset, clean slate going into the new year. It either injured or made sick everybody and kind of showed us that we were just weak little human bodies. But part of that training had like constant failure for the first 3 or 4 hours and then small wins as you came down the stretch. We went on to train and play against Australia. Most people here know, no offense to that program, that's a team that we should be comfortable consistently beating. And we got that way. So we were building momentum. Then came a series with Croatia, higher quality opponent, but we played them back in the U.S. And as Aaron and any other referees will tell you off the record here, that is a little easier to win in a friendly on your own soil. And we, through the course of several games, we lost terribly, we played them close, and then we eventually broke through. We were making small steps, we were getting closer and closer. From there, World League Super Finals, we made the final tournament, or the final game, I should say, against Serbia. Those European teams aren't peaking at that point, but they're in good form. We were getting closer. So from there, we went into the Olympic Games having a critical element, I think, which was belief in ourselves. And I don't know if many others believed, but we did, and it was a product of that small step-by-step progression that our coaches had put into action. And I think in sports, right, belief is an obviously critical element, but belief in your own belief is like a secondary level of commitment, understanding, confidence, and again, mapping that small step plan can elicit far more belief than just thinking you're going to take a big leap over the course of 12 months. For my team, that played a huge part in our Olympic run, which, as you've now heard a few times, ended in a silver medal. So in summary, I want to admit that it's easy to say and it's convenient to say things like, I am an Olympian, I'm a medalist, particularly when I'm explaining myself to folks who don't know the first thing about water polo. I do live on the East Coast now, so there's like a lot of that. They're building, it's getting better. But those are just the headline results, and the real stuff is in the rest of the story. Balancing school and sports, living abroad, learning a language, as you heard Tony mention, injuries, battling back to health, on and on and on. That's the stuff that makes you. And so for me, that medal becomes a symbol, but it really just represents the journey that I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to follow, the good sense to stick with, and the team back me all along the way. So I have by no means dedicated my full life yet to this sport, like you've heard some of my fellow inductees have done. Your guys' commitments and accomplishments are truly inspirational. But rather than that demonstrated lifetime of giving back, I have no doubt that part of me being here is winning that medal. So I think my hope for what I've been able to contribute is simply this, that our team's sort of obvious, tangible, and visible accomplishment, that silver medal, can serve as a bit of inspiration for a few young kids, a few young adults, a few men and women to either embark on or continue along their own journey. And no matter their ultimate destination, I hope that journey for them can be just as formative, independently valuable, character defining as it's been for me. So it's truly both an unexpected and overwhelming honor for me to say, in this setting, to this audience, and frankly, in this half of the state, thank you guys for everything.